Well, Chapter 3 has got me liking Puppy Playtime more than FNAF. Project Playtime is in... It's not a bad state, but it's probably it's a bad state. The worst state it's been in since besides the release date. It is bad. The last update they dropped was in October, and it left us with a map that, from what my friends are saying, they hate. People do not seem to like this map. It has a lack of doors. And they also removed my favorite part of the game, which is playing with friends. Private matches are gone. But luckily me and my friends love this game and we're pretty determined to play together, so I'll hook you up with that. To play with your friends, you go to Steam, Settings, Downloads, change this to a very unpopular country that you think is too far into war to be playing Project Playtime, and then you can just use those dead lobbies to go into public matches and cube with your friends. But the fact that we have to even do this to play with some goons is absolutely bizarre. And as for the Project Playtime gameplay that we know and love, it's still the same, and I still love it, but there's some weird decisions they made, like getting rid of the Huggy Pit and not allowing you to spectate, as well as the pull handles being gone, and a bunch of other random things that make the state of the game right now really tedious. Like, I, for whatever reason, can't go in third person right now. And I couldn't tell you why. But I cannot fix it until they update this game. I'm not complaining that they left to go work on Chapter 3. It was expected, and I can honestly see them dropping this game real soon. But they could have left us in a better state. This game just has so much potential, so much they could add. They could add the purple hand jump pads. I've been requesting the tower puzzles, with the little lightning strings to be an optional thing that might give you 2 toy parts instead of 1. Which sounds wild at first, but imagine getting chased by a monster while you're trying to do that puzzle for an extra toy part. That sounds cool as hell. And more maps, obviously. An outside map would be great. Make Mommy whole again. give her webs back. Now that Chapter 3 has brought some more adult tones to the franchise, I wouldn't mind this emote from the test beta coming back. I've been waiting on this since before the game was even out. Extra game modes. So many things can and probably will be added once they return, because they need to make it up to us. But we know what we want, and they know what we want. And out of the 2 monsters that Mob Entertainment confirmed, they already said PJ's coming first. Meaning after PJ, we're gonna be getting Catnap! I feel like I'm going to be saying this for every Project Playtime character idea video I make, but I do want Catnap to be different. Meaning out goes the current trend they have right now of every monster having one ability that's mobility based and another ability that helps them find people. I was going to try to follow this trope as Catnap, but it did nothing but just fuck up my ideas, so we're throwing that out the window. For starters, Catnap will be a pretty slow monster. Although he's proved to be extremely quick and probably quicker than everyone else, he's gonna be slow here because just like Catnap in the game, his whole personality will be kind of stalking you, and we'll kind of get into that in the future. Or he's just fucking with his prey as Huggy did. He does live for the hunt, like fucking Craven the Hunter according to Ollie.
He always stalks his prey first. He'll take away anything you have to defend yourself. And when you're at your most vulnerable, he'll kill you. Catnap lives for the hunt.
Oh yeah, just like how Mommy and Huggy are accurate to their source material, I'm going off of this shit. Catnap is also a very strong believer in second chances. Shit, third chances, since he had 3 chances to kill us in the game. So Catnap isn't wasting his valuable energy on these dumbass specialists. I don't even want to know what type of beef he had with this Bunzo to charge at him like that, because we did not get that treatment. Yep, such an aside, Catnap will obviously have to be faster than the specialists. That's how the game works. But he will be noticeably slower than the other monsters. His primary attack will also be a little underwhelming. It'll be more on the boxy side of the spectrum, where you can use it very quickly, but its damage is shitty. Maybe around the same damage as Boxy, but he definitely won't be attacking as fast as Boxy. So he will have overall the worst form of primary attack. Like, Chasing someone for longer than like 20 seconds is useless with the minimum amount of damage you'll be doing to them. Now before you click off the video, I don't hate Catnap, I actually love him. His primary attack and his overall speed has to suck balls because his entire moveset relies on this right here is the bulk of Catnap's character. This is the reason why you play as him. His first and second ability, because he will have three, will be just different ways to distribute the smoke, and then we'll talk about what the smoke does. Catnap here would be the first monster to have an actual secondary attack. There's no cooldown, it's barely an ability, it's just a secondary attack. And this would be him just releasing the smoke per usual. It'll be really similar to Mommy's webs, where if you tap it, only a little bit comes out. If you hold it, a lot comes out. And the cooldown depends on how much. Catnap here would be the first monster to have an actual secondary attack. There's no cooldown. There's no cooldown.
Hey, Angel, wait.
The smoke can catch you a little farther than his average claw attack can. And the spread, as shown in this clip here, can go pretty far. You can catch multiple people with this at the same time if you're close enough to all of them. Meaning you can ambush a puzzle pillar of 3 people and catch all of them with the smoke. Think of the way it works when you hold it down, kind of like a flamethrower in a shooting game. Pretty much exactly like that. Catnap's second gas wielding ability won't actually directly affect the players until it's done, and you'll see what I mean in a second. But if you use this spray ability in front of anyone, it's not gonna affect them. It will visually be the same as the other attack, besides it maybe not moving as much as the other one when you turn your head. It'll be more straightforward, more stationary, except it has a complete different use compared to the other ability. It will not affect any players that it hits on impact. Using this way of applying the smoke will fill the room with the gas. The other ability will not do that. It's just a projectile, like Mommy's webs. This ability will, in seconds, fill the room with gas. No matter how big or small the room is, it will fill up just that room. Said room will stay a gas chamber for the rest of the match, unless you go beyond your limit, and then it'll work like the Little Huggies, where your most recent gas room will overtake the first gas room that you place in that cycle. You have only up to 2 or 3 rooms that you can gas at a time. Being in one of these gas rooms will heavily block your vision, very similar to the fog sabotage that's currently in the game right now. But the main purpose of this ability is to pick rooms that people will actively go in, so you can get them with your gas status effect. Everything I'm about to say for the gas mechanics applies to both of the abilities that I mentioned in the last segment. The only difference in them is that the way you produce them. You either place it in a room and wait for someone to walk in, or you can directly spray somebody with it. Either or, everything I'm about to say here applies to both abilities whenever a player is touched by the gas. After a player is exposed to the gas for more than, we'll say, 3 to 5 seconds, he will be caught up in the hallucinations, where you will see Catnap as Nightmare Catnap. Every other player that's not under the influence of the gas will see normal Catnap, while whoever is under the influence of the gas will see the Nightmare version. And just for that extra flavor, if Mob Entertainment wants to make 2 skins for Catnap, for each skin, so let's say Catnap gets like a, I don't know, like a EDP skin, then they'll make one for the Nightmare version. But assuming they don't want to do that, we can just have the color of the Nightmare version translate to whatever skin Catnap's wearing. So the EDP skin would be green, so Nightmare Catnap would be green in that case, and it would just change basic coloring to transfer with the real Catnap's skin. This is just a cool aesthetic change that also helps in telling the player if they've started to be taken over by the gas. At least it doesn't do anything yet. When you're under the gas's influence is when Catnap's gameplay really starts to shine. Not only do you see Catnap in Nightmare form when you're under the gas's influence, but you will slowly start to get blurry vision and start to walk a teensy bit slower. But by the time this happens, you will eventually snap out of the gas's effect yourself. However, a good Catnap would stalk you while you're under the gas's influence, just like how he stalks you in Chapter 3. And then when the time is perfect to strike, he'll either kill you right then and there, or he'll think that maybe a little more gas is needed, and gas you again. The longer you're under the gas, the worse the blurry vision gets, and the slower you start to walk. If you stay being exposed to gas for too long, you'll end up crashing to the floor and falling asleep, which is the same as being knocked, except the self-revive is like 30 seconds longer, and no one can revive you. You also won't show up as dead on the heart rate monitor, meaning your teammates will think you're alive, but Catnap will be picking you up and taking you to the slammer. And there it is. Combine these gas mechanics with the gas producing abilities from the last segment, and you have the entire point of Catnap. It sounds complicated, but it's easier than you would think. Your main priority wouldn't be putting everyone to sleep, it's just dimming them down and making them weaker. You could finish them off on the first stage, you don't have to have them go to sleep. Early game, I could see him getting shit on, especially when he can't find anyone. But late game, when there's less puzzle pillars, and they have to pull down the thing, gas those rooms, and it will be a bloodbath. You just have to realize that chasing people isn't your best bet. You have to wait for them to get slower than you. Just to fuck with the player even more and to go more accurate to how the gas works in Chapter 3, it would be really cool if the longer you're under the gas's influence, you start to hear things like fake puzzle pillars, fake Catnap footsteps, maybe Catnap voice lines, children crying like in Chapter 3. They could go ham with this. They could even drop secret lore in there. The sky is the limit with this. Catnap is also really good with crowd control. He'd be the first monster here to, I don't want to say attack, but really fuck with multiple survivors at once. Especially when you start putting down clones.
You got bamboozled, look at you.
The copycats. Oh, I'm hilarious. Anyway, Catnap's final ability will have him spawn a clone of himself. This clone will be AI and will auto-follow any player at random. As long as they're under the gas status effect, a clone of Cursed Catnap will go around following a player. And it will obviously have to be the same skin as Catnap too. An exact copy. It won't even do anything. He can't do damage. If you touch him, he just disappears. They are literally useless. You can only have 2 out at a time, and when you place another, the last one disappears. There's also a chance that the clone Catnap won't follow anyone and will just stand there looking at players as you would. Maybe the clone will slowly follow them, just as the Catnap player would. Useless is an understatement. I was going to have them reveal a player's location when they touch somebody, but I really do think these hallucinations should just mean nothing. But they have their uses. You can place them by important areas like the train and puzzle pillars to scare players away, and also just to get into their head as you want to playing as Catnap. What I would personally do is act like an AI, because the AI is obviously not going to be perfect, but if we act like an AI, people will get comfortable with us, get up close, and we can either gas them or just scratch them up. However, mostly this is just something to stay true to Chapter 3, and it is a very fun concept. It would even be the hook for some people to make them want to play Catnap. And there it is. That's my idea for Catnap to be in Project Playtime. Now I know he's coming eventually, and I can't wait to see how they do it. I'm curious as to see if they're going to make him simple like the others, or if they're going to try to do what I did and make him a little more complicated. Because even though this game is leaning more towards the simple party game-esque style, I wouldn't mind a monster that takes more than a click to win the game. I'm curious to know what you guys think, because I know my PJ concept was overly accepted, but that's because I took a more simple route. This was fucking risky. But with that said, I got a blast. I have a Valentine's Day date to get to. Hey babe, sorry I'm late.
I'm on my own, talk to me nicely. Cutting off his hands cause he was typing. In my neck is where the ice be. Buy you what you want, I don't care if it was pricey. I'm married with I fun, selling trends, that's where the hype be. Spending on my bands, that's the reason she don't like me.